First, though, we want to talk to Senator Mike Lee. He's a Republican from Utah. He's a member of the Joint Economic Committee and a member of the Tea Party caucus. He joins us this morning. Nice to see you, sir. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. You heard Ben Bernanke there saying Congress has to do something, but he was very low on the specifics of what Congress should be doing, except for be careful, this recovery is very fragile. What should Congress be doing?
Congress should extend the tax cuts that were put in place about a decade ago, because we need these tax cuts in order to ensure that employers will continue to hire people. At a time when we can least afford to lose jobs, we need to not be putting ourselves in a position where we'll be disincentivizing employers from hiring.
So Dick Durbin, when I spoke to him yesterday, he said he supports tax cuts, but not for the wealthy, people over $250,000. So he said, actually, let's let those tax cuts expire. Here's a little chunk of what he told me yesterday.
We have to have this day of reckoning in order to finally break through and have meaningful deficit reduction that still creates a growing economy. Then let's face it.
Well, what does that mean? Because does that mean that you're saying that if we have to have a day of reckoning, that in fact you'd let them expire, which then would raise the taxes for those middle-class people you just said you don't want to raise taxes on?
That's a very real possibility unless there's an agreement. But people of goodwill in both political parties should avoid that. I want to work to avoid it.
He says he wants to work to avoid it. Is it going to be possible, in fact, if the Democrats are threatening that, to work to avoid that?
Yes, it is, because the American people aren't going to stand for this. Look, this is not the fault of hardworking American taxpayers. This is the fault of Congress. This is the fault of Washington, D.C., and it needs to be fixed here and not on the backs of the American people, who would pay for this in terms of job losses.
John Boehner and Eric Cantor said they're not going to rescind the tax cuts for the wealthiest. But if it came down to sort of the choice between the two, extend the tax cut for everybody, even the wealthy, or let them expire for everyone, you would pick the first option, correct?
Well, I'm not going to vote to increase taxes. A tax increase is not the problem. A tax increase is going to make the problem worse. And that's not the right answer here.
But, you know, when you look at polls on this very issue, and this is one is from the Pew Research Center, they say when they poll people, raising taxes on the rich would 44% say would help the economy, 22% say would hurt the economy, and then no difference is somewhere around 24%. When you look at a similar question, raising taxes on the rich would make the system, similar numbers, 44% would make the system more fair. Do you worry that, in fact, what you're getting into by focusing on keeping the tax cuts for everyone and not doing what the Democrats would like to do, which was, in effect, raise the taxes for the wealthy, that you're not going to be supported by the people who feel, certainly in polling, and this is not the only poll that shows that the system is unfair and the wealthy should have their taxes raised?
Look, even raising taxes on people earning $250,000 a year or more, that cuts into small businesses, and many have estimated that that could cost us as many as 700,000 jobs in the first year alone if we do that. What we're concerned about there is not as much the wealthy individual as we are the small business, but more importantly, Soledad, we're focused on the employee, the person who's not going to get hired or is going to lose his or her job as a result of raising taxes. That's what we have to avoid. That's why we've got to extend these tax cuts for all Americans.